Right, hello and welcome. This is going to be a new survival series in Space Engineers. We have kind of a modified start. We're on Putin. We have a modified star system. There's a total of 22 planets floating around up there. There is a few modded planets out there as well. All the planets that we're using have been set up or are supposed to be set up for the new Apex survival, so it'd be really nice to be able to get out on those. On top of that, we're also running the water mod. That's why you can see all of the deep blue ocean off in the distance. And we have started with our vanilla rover that they've given us for surviving in, I suppose, the Apex update. So straight ahead, first things first that we're going to do is I'm going to use a trick I saw on one of Splitsy's videos, which is the fact that we don't actually have to do any hand drilling to get started. We can build a drill straight away. So to be able to do this, because I'm using progression, we are going to need to make some components. I think it's those three, steel plate, motor and construction comp. And these are the components we're going to need if we jump to hotbar 2 to make a mag plate just off the back of our rover here. Now before we weld this to functional, why are we doing that? Because we need to unlock drills. Now my progression tree is a little bit different because I'm using a TED systems mod, but if we come down to where we can find a drill. So there, block tools. So in progression, you have to have either built a landing gear, magnetic plate to unlock wheels and cockpits. And then if we re-weld up our cockpit of our rover, we'll get access straight away to our drills. So that is what we are attempting to do here. So if we weld our mag plate to functional, now we should have access to cockpits. Grind that down, and then rather than having to try and build a cockpit from scratch, because we wouldn't be able to make all of the components, I don't think. Yeah, bulletproof glass I don't know if we can make. But what we can do is we can just grind down our cockpit to the functional line, or below the functional line, somewhere about there, and then weld it up, because all of the components that it needs as you grind it are given back to you a 1-to-1 ratio, which is great. So by doing that, we have unlocked our access to the handy dandy drill. Handy, jeez. I realized how cringe that was as I was saying it. The Prototech drill doesn't actually require any Prototech component, but it's not available in small grid. I'm going to use the DLC block just because I think it looks nice. Can't place it because we have lights on the front of our pod. So because we are using a Hubblegum skybox, it is going to get quite dark. So being without lights can be a little bit of an issue, but not having to do any hand drilling, I'd rather that. So plus we always have the option of you can turn your suit lights on by pushing L on your keyboard if you're on keyboard and mouse, and then your suit lights are on, so when you jump in your cockpit your suit lights will come through and you can use that to get a little bit of vision at night time. But I don't think nighttime's going to be an issue for us maybe in this episode. We've got daytime set to 6 hours in total, so we should be good. Now, when it went to production, what I should have gone over is we can't actually make large steel tubes or small steel tubes in a survival kit. So the way we're going to get around that, thanks to Splitsy, is we know, or I know, that there is some top piston parts used as detailing on this rover which come with large steel tubes. So we need a total of 4 for our drill. And if we punch those, now large steel tubes is not a problem for us. Now if we grab out the components we made with our survival kit, we can weld our drill up to being functional, which is great. That is right off the bat. We have access to a tool that is normally not shown until like episode 2, maybe episode 3, depending on how well, like how much you get into base building. So yeah, now while we're driving around looking for a place to set up base, we can be gathering resources. Now, first thing I want to do is go ahead and redo our hotbars. So they like to give us these rovers with number 1 on our number 1 hotbar being park on and off. I know they've made it so you can choose which connectors are used for park and on park and which ones aren't, and it's no longer a major issue, but I still prefer to have one button do one function. So I like to change that over to handbrake on and off. It just means that I know exactly what it's doing, and there's no chance that it can do any other cause any major issues. What we're also going to do is we're going to add into slot number 8 a toggle on off for our drill, and then we're going to add the drill from tool blocks into slot number 2, just in case we want to do some terrain clearing easily. Although they have made that a lot easier in this update, or in one of the updates they've done recently, where you can now select your drill and there's a toggle box for terrain clearing mode, which we'll use later on in the series to make it easier to dig out our bases. But for now that we've got our drill going, or drill on our rover and our hotbar set up, I'm going to go to our ore detector, make sure that's at max range. I'm running a mod to just increase the range that our ore detector can reach, and I'm going to go ahead and drive around and try and get all of the resources, the basic resources found while running our drill. So just before I disappear, I'll show you how the drill works. So you're driving around, you turn it on, and as you're driving, you are now scraping stone. Now I've just realized if we turn it off and park, I haven't put anything into production. Till we come production, and hold control shift and click 10 times. Now as we're driving around, all the stone that we're picking up is going to be converted over to ingots, and we don't have to hand drill a single bit of stone to get ourselves started. But yes, like I said, we're gonna... Ooh, unknown signal. Is it gonna land on land? Just because I'm fairly certain that the spawns for seeds and stuff on this planet are very rare. I haven't found any. Like, I've got a creative world inside this same setup, with the same setup, and I haven't been able to find... That's got a cargo container on it, a decently sized one too. That might give us some resources to do an upgrade on our pod right away. Okay, screw going and find resources. Let's see what we've got. First things first, where's the button? There it is. Do we get anything good? Oh, what do we got? Badger gloves. Actually, what suit am I wearing? The basic one by the looks of things. Alright, let's open this up and see what they've brought us. You know what? Food, I'm not going to be mad about, because that is going to become a problem for us. But what I'm more interested in is look at the components they've brought us. So we're going to go around and find as much of the components that he kind of got, more than just kind of steel plate, and grind those down. parachute hatch. And set light, and we'll grab the cargo container. Have we got access to cargo containers? We do. So let's go ahead. Can we fit that on the back? Because we know we've got exactly this amount of resources. How's that going to look coming off the back of our... It's going to look a little funny. But if we add another set of wheels at the back to make this a 6-wheeler, it's not going to be the worst. Plus it gives us access to storage right away. I'm not sure how much cargo or inventory space a modular cargo container gives us versus a large. So we get 10,000 litres. Does it tell us here? No. Right, let's take this off our hotbar. Okay. We are going to move somewhere close to the back here. Actually, let's make some quick changes. So in here, if we search wheels, grab the 2 front ones, add that to a group. SR for starter rover. Front. No, I like to put the block name first. Wheels. Front. Copy that. Save. And grab the next 2. We're going to call these wheels mid. And then we can add to our hotbar groups. Wheels front. And we want to go increase strength and decrease strength. By doing that, if we decrease the strength all the way down, our rover's going to kind of nose forwards, and it'll give us a chance to kind of access underneath here. We are going to want some more steel plate. Luckily, we have access to a bunch over here. Alright. Now, on our rover, the wheels come from that line. Looks like they're mounted off there, so we'll try and keep it the same. G wheels 3 short, and we don't have the off-road version, so we'll keep it the same. We want the right and the left, so come on to the left side. I like how they've done the models now, so you can see as I'm rotating this round, you can see that the wheel is predominantly upwards. That means at the moment our suspension is upside down. If we rotate it twice, it is now predominantly further down. If we place that, we now know that that left-hand rear wheel is now placed at the right point, which makes life so much easier. And this is the right side. So we'll do the same thing, rotate till we make sure it's at the bottom, and we have wheels. And we have components. I was not expecting to get a nice drop like that so early. Now, do we have what we need for the wheels themselves? Short on construction comp, that's right. We're short some steel plate, but I know where to grab some of that. Add to the queue. So we're going to get our steel plate and construction comp out of here. We'll grab some more from here as well, because I also want to weld up the blocks that they're connected to, just to give us a little bit more resilience. Oh, didn't need any more. I don't want to go over a ridge at the wrong speed or on the wrong angle and knock this off. And then we can go ahead and start welding up some of the wheel. Cool, so we got everything but the large steel tubes. But as we know, we can get 4 of the 6 we need from the piston parts. We've already punched them from this side, so we'll come to the other side. There's 2. There's 4, and then if we crouch and come underneath, they've also given us a spare wheel underneath, which has the last of the large steel tube we need. And then if we needed a small steel tube, we would climb up on the roof and pinch it from the ladder. Let me just show you. So if you don't get a nice lucky start like we did, where we got a cargo container dropped right into our laps, if you get a nice angle up at this ladder, pull your grinder out, you'll find you've got 10 small steel tube and some construction comp up here that you can use to get your suspensions going. But yeah, now we have a cargo container, which means we can store a whole lot more on this rover as we're driving it around. We're going to go ahead and put our wheel strength back up. We're going to search for wheels. I'm going to get rid of this mid and call it rear and make those all the rear wheels a group. So those ones, save, show on terminal off. Just to clean our terminal up just that little bit more. Is that set to depressurize? Yes. And then let's just make sure our settings are set right. So steering angle, we're going to bump that to an 18. Power supplied to propulsion, there's no reason why that shouldn't be up at 100%. Height offset down to the as low as it'll go, so negative 32. Friction, we're not going to change. Speed limit, let's set that. I think we're going to leave that at 100 k's. We shouldn't need any more than that. And just like that, we have ourselves a nice rover and another unknown signal. So I'm going to go around and find our ore deposits, make sure that we've got at least 1 iron, cobalt, silicon, nickel and magnesium, and hopefully find some silver or gold. And while doing that, making sure that we've got our drill on so that we're scraping up some stone as we're doing it. But first things first, let's go see what we get at this unknown signal. I always like, at this point, with the amount of hours I've got in the game, I've got a lot of the skins for the game, but I always like to go and see if there's anything new. It's that gotcha box feeling. So we'll head over there. Now, at this point, actually, while we're traveling, I can kind of explain a little bit of some of the stuff we intend to do throughout the series. So, anything that we do, if we have to do it more than once, the first time I don't mind doing it manually, but by time we get to doing it like the 5th or the 6th time, that means that we're probably going to be doing it fairly often. So in that case, that's when I would like to have it automated. So yeah, like in this kind of series, we're going to go through some of the ways you can automate things when you have mods like the water mod on, so like ice collection. We're also going to go through a little bit of silicon, a little bit of kind of automation on getting automated rovers set up to drive around and pick up and deliver ores for you around the place. Just a heads up that will require scripts, so if you are unable to use scripts, we might not be able to do that side of the automation, but we will show you how to make drones later on in the series that can do the same thing. Now what am I doing? All I need to do is go slash GPS, and we've got CO and SI. So when I'm making my resource nodes, I like to make it in alphabetical order, so if there's more than one alphabetical can't English today, alphabetical order, so, and using the kind of periodic table symbols for the item, that way it makes it so that your signals aren't too long, and you can, well, I can quickly identify kind of where to go. And then when I need a certain resource, I just search through my list of GPS waypoints and turn on the one that I'm looking for. Oh, this is quite a good area. This one's going to give us a really cool waypoint. So this is going to be COFENI, Coffini. If you watch Andrew Man Gaming, he makes he made a really cool kind of outpost around the coffee theme of having found a resource node that was COFENI, and it turned out to be really, really cool. It's one of the seasons that I really enjoyed of his. So yeah, we're gonna just pop over here to the unknown signal and see what we've got. So it's a smaller pod, so we're not going to get as much resources as that last one. Let's see what we got in the bottom. Uranium I'm not mad about. It's a small amount, but it's better than nothing. Let's see what we get. Looks like nothing. Let's grind out the button. Okay. Cargo containers on this side. Some construction comp. Not mad about that. Actually, if we take the reactor, we can get a reactor on our rover. No, we haven't unlocked the block. Text panel. Text panel's got some stuff in it. Button panel. I think that is going to be everything we can get off that pod. But not a bad find. Right, so I'm going to go ahead and I think we've still got magnesium to find. So I'm going to go ahead and try and find some magnesium and hopefully some silver or some gold just for later progression. It would be really nice to find silver. And then I will bring you back once I've got that. All the time all while doing this, I'm going to be turning our drill on and off depending on how full our cargo is to make sure that we're still scraping stone as much as possible. Frontier cabin, 3.8 k's away. We might be able to use that to try and pinch some resources from as well, actually. So if I remember correctly from previous playthroughs, the Frontier cabins only have a interior turret, a single one protecting them, so we should be able to go ahead and take over that fairly simply. Maybe we don't cut this part out and I keep you on and we kind of make our way towards that outpost, looking for resources all along the way, and we look at taking it over, because that would give us an early game kind of start, and we could maybe, if I remember correctly, they have on that grid, they normally have a basic assembler, a basic refinery, and an O2H2 generator, which is resources to build essentially our starter base that we don't have to make on our rover. Like, I know we could use their base as our starter base, but the issue I have with that is I know how many hostile mods I'm running on this playthrough, and I know that if we take it over, there is a high chance that we are going to become, while we're up here actually, before we go down, I'm going to have a quick look around and make sure we're not missing any of the resources that could be up on this plateau. But I know that we getting back to the outpost, I know that a lot of the kind of encounters in the hostile mods that we have on are based around a threat score that is calculated based on the amount of blocks within a 5k radius that the player owns. So if we take over the grid, we instantly end up with a threat score of, I think, like 200, which I am not too keen on. I'm not seeing any of the colors of gold. That's pretty far down. Our ore detector's reached in further than it needs to, but we're going to mark that. So here we have, I think AU is gold and FE. So now when we need gold, and our cargo container's full so we can turn our drill off, when we need gold, we've got gold as a resource that we've found. Silver would be a really nice find. Like, more than gold for the ability to build medical components and get a proper, not a survival kit, but a medical room, a med bay, to get an actual med bay. That would be so much more useful than gold for us right now. Yeah, and I think they've also made it a requirement in tier 2 tools, which I thought was just cobalt in the past, but I believe they've changed it around. Might as well mark all of the resources, just so that if we ever use up one, we're not having to go around and find it again. Just take out the AU part here. Right. Actually, I will cut off the drive over there. We will bring you back once we're back kind of over at that outpost. Right, the outpost is just a little over this hill here. So we're gonna kind of come to the edge of this ridge where we've still got some cover and have a bit of a peek around. We're gonna go ahead and grab out our weapon. How's our food? Our food should be good for now. Our vehicle's come to a stop. Let's go to hotbar 9, find character weapons and add our pistol on. Now let's just have a quick little... So yeah, that pod directly in front of us, I'm fairly certain that is an interior turret. Now let's see if we can get in close without it getting us. What have we got there? Iron. I'm not too fussed about iron at the moment. Oh, jeez. Okay, it can see us. I wonder if we can get it to use up all its ammo. Okay, it is locked onto us. Is there any way that we can kind of just stay out of its view but get close? We're in its line of sight. Ow.
Low health.
Oh, jeez. Come down this other side of this hill here. Actually, we did get some food. Let's see what happens when we eat that. Get us some health back. Oh, it's shooting, shooting.
Health critical.
Whoa! Okay. Maybe we should look at going back to our rover. I'm gonna use our jetpack here. Why didn't I think of using the jetpack from the start? And we're gonna heal up because 1 health is not ideal. Maybe we try that. Is it worth doing a jetpack assault and just trying to get as close as possible? You know what? Nothing ventured, nothing gained. So we're going to get 100% health and we're just going to fly at it as quickly as we can and hopefully land just down in front of it where we're out of its range. Now, yes, I know this is foolhardy and it's probably going to fail, but it's worth a try. So we're just going to stay on the other side of this mountain, come around as quickly as we can. Oh, we overshot it. I know it's cheesy, but if it works, it's good enough for me. And all we're going to do is just grind out its battery. Of course, the steel plate is a welcomed addition. And having taken this out means we can now, well, once we get the battery down below functional, means we can bring our rover closer and we can have a look around and see what we can salvage from this place. So let's go grab our rover and bring it on over. Okay, so we have gone through and salvaged a lot of the useful blocks out of this area. I've left some of the lights and the functional blocks. So just to show you what we're definitely getting. So we're getting a basic assembler, an O2H2 and a basic refinery, as well as the components for 2 batteries and a cargo container, which is going to really boost our start. Those are resources we don't have to produce that we already have, as well as we jump into our rover and hide the empty containers or anything that's empty. We have a whole crap ton of resources, to the point that we had to add more cargo containers on the top. I was going to extend it out a little bit longer, but we're already much longer than I feel comfortable with our wheelbase. I would prefer a wider wheelbase to even be at this length. But we're going to have everything on board. So what we're going to do is, while we have access to this, or before we grind out this stuff, because is I want to start getting ready for our kind of underground base build. And the easiest way to do that is we're going to grind off our drill, and we're going to add a hinge. Is it called a hinge? What do I need for a hinge? Battery. We could add a... Yeah, that's right. That's why I haven't done already. Anything that requires progression, I'll hold off on doing. We might add a battery, an extra battery to the back of this top container. So if we go battery, we should have that unlocked. No, we don't. Because we haven't built our basic assembler. Can I just grind this one to below functional? No. Maybe if we grind this one all the way out and replace it. So let me just find the controls so I can... Alright, there's our cargo port. Not that I intend to use this here, but we just need... I just need access to that hinge. So that's going to make a huge difference. There we go. Now we can build hinges and batteries. No. We can't build hinges. We did the basic assembler. Hinge. So we still need to build a battery. So let's go ahead and place just a normal battery. Now, where are we going to sit this? I think we're going to get rid of this ladder and just sit another battery on the top. Just because it is going to be useful to have some additional power on this little ship. Little rover, sorry. And it might help with rebalancing it. And I'll put it that way just in case power becomes an issue for us later and we need to... let's empty inventory and then pull components. So just in case there is an issue with power later and we want to go ahead and add more batteries. But by building battery, we should now have hinges, yes. And I like to put my... what do I need? Steel plate. So I like to put my drills when I'm going to be doing underground drill out base, and all we have access to is a rover. I put them on the edge of a hinge. The reason being, now I've got to stand in the perfect place to get this lined up. There. The reason being is it gives you the ability to change the angle of your drill. Now, because that wasn't welded up, that fell to the ground. So yeah, because we didn't weld up the hinge before we put the drill on, it fell down. So we need to check our build planner. We got the drill on there. Withdraw all of our components. Get our drill back up in action because we still have a spare cargo container in here, so we can still what's the word I'm looking for? We can still scrape for ice. Scrape for stone, not ice. Now, what we want is for this to come back up to 0, just so we can go ahead and improve the drilling capabilities of this thing. So that's as close to 0 as I can be bothered doing it right now. So we're going to add an extra 2 drills. So for one, we can scrape a wider area, which means we can get more stone faster while we're driving over to where we want to put our base. Because we're going to look for a nice kind of big-ish mountain to build our base into. Just so that we have plenty of voxel between us and any enemy grids. And once we've got our base, we're probably going to look at actually building the base in episode 2, just because I realise we've already gone quite long. But we'll get a starter platform placed down and maybe look at... Yeah, we're gonna shorten our rover again because we're a little bit too long now. It's awkward to maneuver. But yeah, with that on, we can do some configuration. So I'm going to do this over on hotbar 2. Main thing is we're going to want access to our drills. We're going to want our handbrake back, handbrake on off. I always put that in the same place on everywhere I use it. And then we're going to want our hinge. So the first thing I do is it's got rotate to angle. First one is always 0 degrees, and I try to set velocity to 5 so it doesn't absolutely smash itself trying to get there. And then I will add some different angles. So if we want to scrape lower, we'll want a negative number here. Now it's important to check your hinge setup. Sometimes it can be 180 degrees reverse, so positive is down and negative is up. But for us, I know from when it fell to the ground, and we checked it on the using build vision, that negative is going down. So we can set, say, negative 30 degrees at 5 RPM. I think it's RPM it uses for the hinge. velocity is 5 anyway. So negative 30, and then for when we want to do our base, or to make it, you know, if there's somewhere that we've got to go up, kind of like a valley that we're going through, we also want to be able to fold it up. So normally I'll go rotate to angle. I'll add a 30 for up as well at a velocity of 5. And then I will also add 2 more. So rotate to angle 60, 5, confirm. Rotate to angle 90. Actually, it never quite gets to 90, so we'll say 80 with a velocity of 5. And so what this does is if we push 4, it's going to put it down into the ground, and we're going to be able to scrape really, really quickly. If we hit 5, it's going to angle it up, and that's going to give us some clearance, but also allow us to drill a bit higher. If we really need to like try and scrape out some of the roof, we can go to 6. And then 7 is like kind of more vertical. We can't, which is our 80 degrees. We can't quite get to 90 because it hits the drills on the cockpit. I think you'll probably find that we're... Oh, the hinge part hasn't been welded. That could have been awkward. Lucky we did this test. We would have just had everything staying in the drills. There we go. You'll find that, yeah, we're at 73 degrees is the highest it can go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and grind out the last of what's left on this base, just the batteries, cargo container, basic assembler, O2H2 and the refinery. Get those parts on, and I'll bring you back once we're ready to make way towards our base. Okay, so with having grinded out everything out the base, it wasn't as long as I thought. And the next thing that I think we should add to our rover before we get back on the road again is some lights. I think I'm going to go for the high power spotlights and aim to put them up here. So we need some steel plate. I think I can just go middle click twice to get what I need. So if we put one here, yeah, that already gives us a really good kind of view in front of us. And just because I like it to be symmetrical, and now that I realize it, I'll probably put this one lower than the other side. No, they're both at the same point. We're also going to go ahead and add some lights to light up around the edge or around the side of the rover, and we might go for these cool floodlights. So I'm just using middle click to pull the components needed for these. Let's go there. Just so we've got some... Oh, there's a hole in the ground there. Just so we've got some working lights around the sides. And we've gone just in front of the center mark. Somewhere about there. And then for when we will most definitely end up reversing, we'll add some on the back so we can see backwards as well. And now nighttime driving should no longer be too much of a worry. Man, you get some decent distance on the high... Another mod we're running, high-powered spotlights, which just gives you another spotlight variant that can do... So if we go SP for spotlights, that can go up to 480 meters. So now we're lighting up the mountain in the background, which is insane. If we grab our other lights, our floodlights, we will just dull down the color a little bit, dull down the intensity just to be nicer to our eyes, because those are more working light than anything. and just so that we can actually see what's going on with our rover. And I think like that, what we haven't added to this hotbar. So we need to add a group for our drills. SR dash drills, save. The reason why we want a group for our drills is so that we can turn them on and off in our on our HUD. So let's find groups, drills. I think we've got that on 8, toggle block on off, and add it back into here, toggle block on off. So now if we pull out of here, if we go back to 0 degrees, we can turn our drill back on and start scraping stone again. Now this is going to make it a little bit more troublesome to go over. I've also noticed I probably don't have any strength in my suspension at the moment. But we can start scraping stone again. Now if we turn that off, come to production, you'll see that our survival kit is back to making us ingots. We go to our inventory and search for ingots, just ingot. We also have an okay amount on board, but not all that much. If we actually go to inventory survival kit, yeah, so we've got some stone in here already. A lot of our ingots are still sitting here, so we'll just drag those out so that it's got more room to pull in stone. Gravel can get pulled out, and then it can push stuff around as it needs to. I'm just gonna drain it now myself so I know it's happy, and we're gonna get on the road now. I can't believe I just did that. I just pushed M to try and open a map. We're going to head back towards where most of our signals are, and I am going to be adding in new waypoints on my way over there. Ideally we'd do this in daytime because nighttime is going to be a little dark, so I might wait till daytime. And damn it, I don't even have a bed to go have a sleep in. Yeah, I'll bring you back once we've got a good base location found. Okay, so only modifications that have been made while I was driving around is we've added a couple of solar panels to the roof of our rover so that we can try and recharge our batteries as we're driving. Outside of that, we've finally found some magnesium, and we also were able to find all the way off in the distance some silver. And because it's so far away, when we found it, I made sure to get an inventory full to bring back. The other notable things I found while I was searching around for a place to live and getting at the last of our resource nodes was I finally found the bush, which gave us some fruit, so we might be able to turn that. We're not going to eat that. We're going to try and see if we can't turn that into a seed. And we finally found some grain seeds in one of the unknown signals. Speaking of food, that is becoming a problem very, very quickly for us. So we are going to need to get that sorted. We have a decent amount of ingots saved up on our little rover as well. If we quickly do a sort of this ingot, and we go to our container, we move everything into one place just for us to be able to see it nicely. We should have more than enough to get us a starter platform going. Also, while I've been driving around, I've been converting all of our gravel into another one of our modded kind of components, which is concrete. Concrete allows us to build, which is what we're about to do actually, in concrete blocks. And concrete blocks work the same as armor blocks. They're a little more resilient, I believe, But the biggest bonus that they have going for them is that it uses up, well, to make them, you're using up gravel, which is a resource that normally sits around and is not fairly well utilized. So that's what we're going to use to get our base put down. Hide empty. I think it's all in our survival kit. Going to pull that into our inventory. The other thing I love about it, it doesn't take up much space, but it is heavy as heck. So if you're going to weld concrete up, it needs to be done with a wheeled vehicle, because if you put it on a flying vehicle, you're going to need so much more thrusters than you would ever believe. So what I'm thinking is we're going to build our base in this mountain, and we can put a kind of like a turret tower up here, turret tower up here. It's also why we're building where we're building is because just on top of this mountain is a magnesium node. We are going to need that if we want to survive in this world. And that's just trying to decide where we build it. Now, I know from previous experience, if we build inside the gully, we're going to have to drill out so much more voxel to get deeper in. It does end up providing the nicest bases, in my experience. But do I want to do this to myself again? I do this every time. I tell myself I'm never going to do an underground base ever again, and then I do it every time, and every time I go for the hardest one to do. Alright, we're going to go with something like this. Crouch. I know structural support isn't a thing in this game. It's weird. In games that don't require structural support, I find myself adding it. In games that do require it, I hate it. But yeah, so we're going to go for a nice kind of wide-ish entry. Obviously, we're not going to be drilling out this much from the start. I just kind of want to get an idea for how big it is going to be eventually. And then we're placing down blocks because the easiest way to get this done with what we have, to get this started with what we have available at the moment is rather than running around with our hand drill, we're going to use our rover to dig this base out, because I'm lazy like that and I hate hand drilling. So anytime that I can get away without having to do any hand drilling, I will. So for now, we're just going to rush down a platform that we can get our rover up onto, and it needs to be big enough that we can turn the rover around on it so that we can get it into different areas. And then we need to go ahead and add in a ramp to get the rover up, and I'm hoping we don't bottom out on this thing. That is my current worry, is that because we're so long, we're probably going to struggle to get up on this. So we'll start from there. And because of where I've picked to build it, it's going to be there's a lot of this that we're going to have to build later after we've actually drilled it out, because the ground, oh no, we might not have to drill it out. We'll see how the rover handles. If I can get away with doing less, I am going to do less. Now, if you ever find yourself in a position where you can't get underneath, use your jetpack, rotate around. It's saves you a whole bunch of time and issues. There we go. That should do it. So now we've got a platform that we can drive up onto. I haven't finished filling it in. It needs to be at least the length of the rover. Now if we bring our starter rover up with our drills on it, and we're going to jump into our drills, we're going to change those to terrain clearing mode, so that when we turn them on, they're instantly going to clear voxel instead of us having to use right click. We're going to stop here. We're going to angle our drills up so we don't smash them off. Now this is the part I'm worried about here. Alright, I reckon if we get a bit of a run up, we'll make that. Go on a bit of an angle so we don't scrape out the bottom. Hey, and we're up. So we will have to do an adjustment to our grip settings so that we're able to turn here. But we're up on the platform and we are in a kind of straight-ish line. Alright, we're going to put our drills down to 0 degrees, turn them on, and remember we turned terrain clearing mode on, so if we drive forwards, now I'm hoping with the weight we've got in the back, it doesn't matter if our front tyres aren't on, we can come all the way forwards to our second set of tyres, and then just start backing off. How much blocks is that going to allow us? How deep are we digging each time? So that's 1, 2, 3, that's 4 blocks deep. That's not too bad. For now, because our biggest worry is keeping our rover alive, we're going to keep going on this pathway until we're deep enough that I'm not worried about the roof getting removed later, because we need more heights for our other rovers that we'll have coming in and out of this entry. Yeah, no, that's where we call it quits. So I'm gonna spend more time than I care to admit just drilling and essentially filling the hole with blocks, and we'll bring you back once we've got something that looks a little bit more like a starter platform. Okay, so we're going to make a quick little modification to our rover just because the roof is not getting to the height that I would like it to be. So we're going to grind up our drills. And I'm hoping we've got access to a piston. I should have checked that before I grinded them off. Yes, we've got access to piston. So we're going to add a piston on the end of our hinge. I don't care what kind of piston, I just need a piston to make our life so much easier and improve the speed of this process. So for a few reasons, the piston's going to allow us to extend further in, so we don't have to stop to build as often. So I get the top part's built. But it also is going to allow us to drill higher into the roof, which is going to give us a lot more headroom, and I'm not going to feel so claustrophobic, which I do at the moment. Now, it's also, I'm debating whether or not it's worth going like this and adding a couple of extra drills at this point. The wider we can drill, Yeah, I'm going to do it. Okay, let's see what we need. Actually, if I just jump on this attachment. And because we didn't take off the hinge, we still have the ability to, like, all of our hotbars still set up for the hinge. We just have to redo the group for the drills. Okay, we need parts for 1, 2, 3, 4. I think construction comp's a problem. No, it's not. That's an interesting little glitch to have. This also improves the functionality of this vehicle or this rover when we're out driving around. We can now get it to start like the entries to our mines and stuff so that we don't have to do it ourselves, make it easier for us to find when we come back. Right. Now, if we come in, the group for drills is gone, so we're going to grab that and just go SR-drills and put the space back in. Save. So that should allow us to toggle them on and off. We're going to grab our piston and tell it share inertia tensor just to stop it hopefully from shaking as much. And now we want to go to our hotbar 2, grab our piston, and we're just going to go reverse, and we're going to set the speed of the piston ourselves to something like 0.2. Yeah, that's a nice slow speed. So now we drive to kind of the edge of where we could get to. Also, I can now go and hit 7, rotate this upwards. And if we grab our drills group, make sure we've got terrain clearing mode, otherwise this will break very quickly. We can now get a much nicer roof done. Because as it is, it was going to feel extremely claustrophobic. Now, I'm not going to go to the full extent of the piston high for drilling out the roof, purely because that would mean I'm going to be here drilling for the next, 4 hours, and we don't have that amount of food. No. Let's just see how high up it's going to go if we do go to the full extension of the piston. And now we can only do this because our cargo containers in the back are loaded down with a bunch of extremely heavy components. If they weren't, this would not work very well. We'd have too much weight on the front, which would cause us to be nose heavy or front heavy and tip forwards. Now, how much height is this going to give us? So we still haven't found the point. I think we have now. Now, am I too heavy to still come out all the way? No. So that looks to be at least 3 or 4 blocks high. It feels like it's a decent size. We're going to go with that height. So I'm going to continue drilling out with this new kind of upgrade to our rover. And then this time, last time I paused to do this stuff. We will, after this, we're going to slap down our refinery and basic assembler and get some power going, and we're calling it. I need to sleep. All right, we have ourselves a nice little cave area that should be safe. So the entry is quite wide, but it's not high enough that I think the drones any of the enemy drones that can attack would be able to get in without with their collision avoidance. So we should be fairly safe. And then the angle you would have to be at to be able to shoot in here, they'd have to get closer to the ground than most enemy AI will allow them to get, other than ones that have crashed. Normally, I would make it so that we wouldn't build anything till we'd turned. But that's just going to be too hard with our current rover. So what we might do is look at putting down a little starter production area up against this back wall, and then strip down our rover to something that's going to be a little more manageable. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to keep the double stacked, what are these called? Modular cargo containers. So we're going to keep those there, but we're going to get rid of these two and the rear wheels, and then reshuffle stuff around to make it look a little bit nicer. I think that's going to be our plan. But yeah, let's get started on, as promised, our starter base. So to do that, we're going to need some steel plate, some interior plate. Let's just hide empty, make life easier. So we're going to go for a small cargo container to get us started, because I know we've got everything we need. We're going to go for a basic assembler, because you can't... No, we could actually build a normal assembler, because we built the basic at the last base. So we can go G assembler. Let's just skip having a basic assembler on this base, because we should again have the resources. That means I don't know if I rebuilt. No, I didn't rebuild the basic refinery, so we're going to have to start with the basic. So we should be able to get all of these welded up with the components we're carrying that we've pinched from the NPC base that we came across. So if we go 1, 2, and 3. Now, yeah, cargo is full, or inventory is full. So we should be able to get most of this assembler done. Just need some more metal grids. Got everything for the cargo container. Save the metal grids. Ooh, I might have been pushing it, thinking that we could get them going. I'm hoping it was just the fact that our inventory was too full. Let's see if we can go again. Yes, we got everything. Okay. Starting to stress myself out a little bit there. Now this isn't going to be where it lives forever, but it is going to be where it lives for now. Now doing this, we are now able to transition a lot of our inventory off our rover, but before we do that, we're going to go build a wind tower outside, so that this base has power, and we need to look at putting on that wind tower somewhere out here, some algae farms for food before we run out. So we're going to park it about there. Let's just get those back wheels back up. And I'm not going to be too fussy about where we put this wind tower. We're just going to come out a little bit. And we're going to come up 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Because I know power is going to be something that we're going to want quite a lot of right from the get-go, because we're going to be looking at trying to jump straight up to a large refinery. We are going to try and get 8 of these welded up. So, now, so we're not wasting hydrogen. We at least get 4 of these going. No, we're going to get all of them going now. Why am I flying around all of them to add them to build planner when they all need the same thing? Alright, I'm hoping again, yep, cargo is full. I'll take cargo being full as a reasonable, as a good thing. So if we're running out of inventory space, sorry, not cargo space, inventory space on our character, that means that we definitely have more resources. If it says we can't grab something and our inventory is still fairly empty, that means we don't have enough. But with everything that we've pinched as we've been driving around, we should be fine. Like even for getting a... Oh, that was almost awkward. Even with getting a basic algae farm set up out here, we should be okay with doing that as well. Which is our next kind of... As soon as we get this power sorted, that's our next goal. Alright, let's go grab the last of our stuff. We're still okay for hydrogen for now. Okay, we are short on girders. But I believe girders we can make on our survival kit. So it should be the last 2 that we struggle to get going. Now that one's always going to struggle because of how close it is to the voxel. Yeah, this is where we run out of girders. And same again, so. For now, we're just going to add them to production on our rover. And that gives us an okay amount of power. Okay, while that's getting made, let's look at our algae farm. So we're going to go for the default one. We also need conveyors because algae farms, when their internal inventory runs out, they stop producing anything else. And we would like to grab quite a few. And then just to make my life easier, sorter should be in there. No? Oh, until we build a conveyor, we probably can't build conveyor sorters. Let's grab some interior plate. We're going to place these over this side. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It gives us room for 7, 8, 9, 10. And we're going to need, was it steel plate? Yeah, steel plate. To place these. Now, I know I could have used T-junctions, and we probably still could. But until I know exactly what we're doing with this, I don't want to lock myself into any one system. Alright, we'll add that to build planner. We'll pull out all of our resources that we need. And then this should unlock conveyor sorters, I think. Also, our connector should get unlocked by this. Right, get these last 2 wind turbines going. And then the final thing to make this a semi-reliable base will be to get a battery on it. But I'm going to rush getting these algae farms built before we do the conveyor lines, so... It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inventory full, yes. It's what I like to see. It just double clicks so the welder stays on and I don't have to keep holding my finger down. Right, one algae farm. Did I accidentally put my components into there. Ooh, do we not have the bulletproof glass? Or did I just have so much stuff on me that that's just clogging my inventory space? Yeah, it's all my extra crap I was holding on to. Now, we probably don't have all the bulletproof glass to get this all welded up. To get all 10 going, but just getting a few of these going and hopefully in the sun for nightfall should mean that we can get us enough food to survive another couple of nights. At least this night. Oh, exposure level's quite high. That's the other thing I like about the update is building underground, or building underground has a whole new reason for existing. All of a sudden, it makes it so much easier for like avoiding radiation exposure, which we're about to hit, so we'll cool off for a bit. Because once you hit 75 exposure, you start taking damage. Okay, so we're not going to have everything. We need to get the last ones going, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 that we didn't have to build any components for. Let's get these two. Let's get these going. And then we're going to add a cargo container out here. Let's remove the algae farms. So again, we're going to have to make some components to finish these off, but again, like, to get as much built as we have without having to make anything ourselves so far, or girders we had to make, I think it was, we've done pretty well. Alright, we're going to go inside for a bit. We're not going to add the cargo container as yet because our radiation exposure level has really started causing us some pain. We're going to look at getting a battery on the base. Let's go with somewhere over here. So we're going to want some steel plate, which we've got. We're going to want some concrete back. And we're just going to stick it off to the side here. Slap a battery down. That will make us a little more protected from, say, if the wind dies out. Let's just clear our build planner. Okay, I think I used most of the power cells on the battery on the rover, which is fine. Let's go ahead and grab all our ingots out. And put those into the cargo container and tell the assembler to make us, what was it? How many do we need? We can just add them to production. Yeah, it was 60 battery or power cells. And we have everything we need for that. So we'll let that tick away in the background. Our exposure levels come down. I could start the manual process of moving all the stuff over. This could be a while. We have grabbed so many resources from pods from the base, NPC base that we took over from unknown signals, pretty much anything we could salvage while we were out. And it has resulted in a very, very full rover. I'm hoping, no, we're not going to even have enough storage in our small cargo container to take it all. Because we have 40,000 litres of storage on our rover, and we have 15,000 litres of storage on our base. Oh, we got enough power cells to get our battery going. So that'll give us a better idea of how our power production is doing, because it'll tell us how long it takes to recharge. So 44 minutes, it's getting 3.72 megawatts of power in from all of our wind turbines. And then our algae farms, they've got low efficiency, but we are going to be outputting some algae out of them, which is going to be nice. Because yeah, we really do need to get that. So next thing is we really need to get this large grid refinery added. So not just the basic one. Now this is probably going to drop us a case. G refinery. I like the look of the industrial one. We're just going to rotate you twice, because this will also help us to reduce the amount of components we have on our rover. To hopefully reduce the amount of storage that is required to get everything off and get our rover back down to the size that we'd like it to be. This will also mean that the base can start processing our silver, so we can look at getting ourselves a medical room or something of the sort. Now I should have reversed this thing in. Oh, I don't need the battery stuff. So is it just large steel tube and motors? We'll add those to production. Which again, to get a large grid refinery and only need like a very minimal amount of resources to be made is insane. Now this is where our power is going to take a hit, because this thing is power hungry. Normally I wouldn't get an industrial refinery till after I've got a large grid cargo container, or a large cargo container. But that should already be processing us some silver, which is great. Because we're going to need that for our medical components, which require 6. And I think it's 10 for a survival kit. I think we've got to build a survival kit before we can... 3 for a survival kit. Okay, we might be able to skip that and go straight to a med bay. 15. How many are in the survival kit on the pod? We've got 3, so we need 12 more. We come to our medical components, which means we need 73 silver ingot, which we should be able to get 73 out of 3,500 kgs of ore. I would hope we'd get that much at least. So we got half of it done already. Well, no, a third of what we need done already. So we should be okay. because we should be able to get the resources for it, I would like to add a O2H2 to the space. Just prepping for when we get the med bay. Place that there. We're going to need some steel plate. And an O2H2 should help us to what's the word I'm looking for? Help us for when we get our mid bay to get all of our to get all of our gases refilled. So our oxygen, our hydrogen, that's what we're looking to get out of having an O2H2 generator on the base. Also, once we get to building ourselves a farm plot, because we do have our one wheat seed, there's that. Oh, let's get a food processor. I still haven't built one of these yet. So I don't know how they work. Let's put this on hotbar 2. Over the modular. What do we need? Steel plate. And where's its cargo? Only on the back. So we're going to sit this over this side. Rotate it around. Because I'm going to give it its own separate cargo container for now. So again, we're probably going to need to make some components to get this going. We got all of our medical components though, so we can go straight into a med bay if we'd like to. No, we're going to. We're going to go straight into a med bay. Alright, now we got ourselves a food processor. So, what can you do? Now, I don't know if we're going to get access to meat on Kurtham. I'd have to have a look at that, but okay, so I see you need multiple types. So we really do need to get our fruit and our grain growing to be able to make something decent. We're going to have to keep farming our unknown signals to see if we can't get a vegetable seed. Can we make seeds here? Yes, we can turn fruit into a fruit seed. Okay. Fruit. Production. Seeds. Okay, so now we have enough seeds to hopefully start getting, well, we could make the fruit meal pack, which is 18% fill value. Or, I think that's the only one we can make. Or we can make the fruit pastry, which is 40% fill value. I think we're going to be going for that. And then our first kind of couple of crops will turn back into seeds again and continue growing them. Okay. Now, where were we up to? Emptying the rover. So we should have made a considerable amount of space. Oh, more food. Just by welding up some extra blocks, hopefully. Because I would really like to get the rover converted back to being just a, just enough storage to store a whole bunch of stone and then that will be its whole job, is to go out and mine some basic resources. Hey, I think we've done it. Rover is now empty, so we are free to ooh. I'm going to leave our seed in here. Just for safekeeping, so I don't accidentally lose it if I'm out about exploring and die. Now, where are we going to put our medical room? So, let's go to hotbar 2. MED. I like the look of the corner medical room. Let's have a look where its conveyor ports are. So they're on the back corner. So we could look at placing it somewhere like here. To do that, we're just going to need to drill out some space. Because we're going to need to get some conveyor lines off the back of our O2H2 here. 1, 2. Let's get those added to our build planner. We really did a good job of clearing out all of our components. Now we can slap down our mid bay, which means we're going to need some steel plate. I think it's steel plate. Interior plate. Let's just go production and add on 200 interior plate, because I know we've run out. Again, this is the earliest I've ever had kind of all of this stuff. I've never had a med bay this early in the game. Now, to get the last of our medical components, we are going to need to do some rover modification. So first things first, we're going to take out solar panels off the roof. Make sure I didn't damage that. Then we're going to get rid of our lights. And our top cargo container. And then we can do our wheels and suspension. And then this thing should become a whole lot easier to drive. Still making some interior plate, which is fine. We don't have the cobalt for metal grids. Oh, jeez. What did I need? Oh, it made me more medical coal. Metal grids, we need 8. Does anything on the rover have metal grids on it that we can reclaim? Okay, I'm gonna have to go get some resources to finish off the. Oh, that. Oh no, it is 38. Damn it. Right, we will be back. Alright, and with that, we're 3 short. Do we have? Yep, we got everything we need for it. And with that, we've got everything we need for a med bay or med room. Now we can charge ultra fast. And because we've got a little bit of ice on the base, we can get our hydrogen and oxygen refill from here. We can also go through and have a look at what we're wearing for our... Oh, I'm in the full assault set. I like the color we're going with at the moment, so we're not gonna muck around with that too much, but yeah, no, I do quite like the suit that we're in already. But yeah, so that is going to be our starter base. In between this episode and the next episode, I'm fairly certain that I am going to do some drilling just to clear out a bit more of the base. Now that the rover is shorter, that's going to be a whole lot easier. And it also, so yeah, I think what we're going to do is we're going to do a T-junction where we are now. Because where we are gives us at least 20 meters of voxel between us and the surface. So if we do our T-junction off here, off the left will become our kind of production area, and then off the right will become our little ship / rover / printer area. So that will be off that side. And then our rover will end up with a dock probably in the production area. We'll look at putting a connector probably off the roof that we push down into it. Now, we can look at getting rid of the survival kit. I'll think of how we're going to best utilize our little rover here in the for the next episode, but that's going to be where I'm going to call it for now.